A few words about the power supply. It comes with a European, in my case, plug with an earth wire, which is good since the power supply is enclosed in a plastic box. It also comes with crimped terminals. It used to be bare wires. I don't know if Tevo reliably changed that to crimped terminals or if I just got a bit lucky. But in case you don't have those and you just have the bare copper or bare aluminium, probably in that case, on the terminals, if you twist them and put them in the screw terminals, there's always a risk that one strand of wire is gonna want to meet its neighbors and go across the connection, and there you've got a short. So many people, to avoid that, tin their wires. So you've got a big blob of solder that you screw on the terminal. But that's a very bad idea indeed, because if I can't find a piece of paper, I'm gonna try to show you how it works. If you have your terminal like so, and your tinned wire like so with stranded wires, you always have a few strands on the side, and your screw here. The contact patch between the screw and the wire is going to be really small. A very small contact patch means a very high resistance. And since you have quite a lot of current going through these terminals, maybe not on the input side, but definitely on the output side with the heat bed of the printer, you're going to have a voltage drop due to the high-ish resistance and a big current, which means you're going to dissipate a lot of heat here, and probably enough to melt the solder and reflow it. And in the worst case scenarios, you're gonna catch fire. So it's not worth burning your house down because you didn't use the proper connection. If you don't put a blob of solder and if you don't tin your wire, the wire is going to be squished by the screw. That means a very high contact area between the screw and the wire, thus a much lower resistance. It's the same when you crimp a terminal onto a wire. You never ever want to tin it before you crimp it. If you're a solder maniac, you might want to solder it to the terminal after it's crimped to increase further the contact patch, although it's not really needed, but never ever before. So that was my safety warning. About the power supply, before we plug it to the mains, we're gonna check a few things. We're gonna want to check there's no short between live and neutral, which would be a bad sign. No between live and earth, or neutral and earth. We're gonna want to check the output isn't shorted as well. It's not. You see the value increasing here because there are capacitors in parallel, and they're getting charged as the meter is checking the resistance, but they are not shorted. And we're gonna want to check we have continuity between the earth and the case. I did leave the plastic on, but the prongs are so pointy at it doesn't matter. Right. So we're good on that side. We're gonna want to check we have continuity between the output. That means all of these and all of these are in parallel, and we're ready to plug it. So this time I'm removing the plastic sheet because it has a fan and I don't want to impede the airflow. The wires in Europe, at least, the brown is live, the blue is neutral, although it doesn't matter that much. The yellow and green is always the earth. And you really want to be careful when you wire that. You check it once, twice, thrice if you need to before you plug it in, because it's too easy to make a mistake. And we've seen on the Facebook Tarantula group some people plugging the mains electricity to the output of the power supply, and that's not a good idea, for instance. You also want to make sure you never ever touch this rear while it's powered on, for obvious reason. The fan is on. It smells like Chinesium grade electronics. The LED is on. So we're good. We're gonna check we have 230 volts AC between live and neutral. There we go. We're gonna check we have 12 or so on the output. That's good. And we also want to check if we have any ripple, any AC ripple on the output. And we have none. Looks like the power supply is good for service.